Hello there, welcome back to Around the Grid. We are finally back with this series. I kind of forgot about it for a second, but we are going to be back now. And we are going to be starting on our next team, which is going to be the McLarens. They end up with 23 points. As Martin beat them with 36, but they are kind of slow compared to, well, our sister teams that we already played, Alfa Romeo and Alfa Tauri, and now Haas that we have dominated with. We have both Alonso and, well, Alonso retiring this year. Hamilton and Alonso, both of them are retiring. So we have has a couple of new drivers. But we are going to jump into McLaren here and see if we can do what we did here, which was fairly dominant, but probably a little bit too dominant. Let's be perfectly honest, we scored over 1,000 points. So I think what we're going to do here is probably keep the drivers that they have. And as you can see, the season objective is 5th. So they are actually quite confident. We'll have Tsunoda, and who's the other one? We'll have Albon and Tsunoda with Galam as our reserve. So let's go ahead. We are going to jump onto the McLaren team, and yeah, this should be fun. Let's see if we can do that one season challenge push that we usually do. Sponsorship obligations, merchandising. We have just 9 million as a starting balance. That's that is a little bit too little for me. Race sim events, we are going to turn them down. And race days is already at the bottom. Event days we can turn down. So those are good. And honestly, we don't have anything that should affect drivers or, well, the driver development here with the race sim is going to be affected, but nothing here that's going to slow down manufacturing, nothing that's going to slow down driver performance during a race weekend. So we'll take that. 2.7 million income per race is not a lot of money, but let's face it here, 14 million is a little bit low of a starting balance for us to do a full car before Bahrain. So it's still going to be a little bit challenging. So yeah, financially, not the greatest. Technical changes here. Let's have a look. Did they do any research? They've actually done a decent chunk of research here. They are losing a little bit of low speed, but they have basically counted most of the other changes to the suspension. The underfloor, again, losing a little bit of low speed, but done a good job all together. And they've actually completely managed the rear wing. Okay, that's actually amazing. They also done a little bit on side pod, front wing. Oh, they didn't do anything on the front wing. So I think front wing is going to be our priority then for CFD after the underfloor. Put it into the front wing because it has a significant loss here compared to anything else. And they actually focused a lot on the chassis. So yeah, probably should put some of that chassis research into the front wing. But this is actually impressive that they actually managed to counter the rear wing at least and somewhat keep up with the underfloor and suspension. Again, we're losing low speed cornering, but we can get that back. So yeah, McLaren AI doing a good job. Now, which powertrain do we want? We're currently running the Mercedes engine. We could try something different, but I think we're just going to go Red Bull. They do the job for me. I like the acceleration, but generally all three of these are generally fairly equal. This one's slightly slower, so doesn't really matter how much too much which engine you pick, but I do like to have that number one next to the car. So 15 million is what we have available to develop a new car with. And if we take a look at the finances here, monthly balance, we're going to have 3.7 million once we take over in a month. So financially, we should still be fine, but it would still be a little bit worrisome. Now, car analysis, let's see where we're at compared to the rest of the grid here. And how did McLaren not score any points last year? How did they do so horrible? Look at this. First in top speed, acceleration, DRS. Low speed, medium, and high speed already really high. Yeah, I think we might have a bit of a walkover season on our hands. So we're definitely keeping our drivers. We might actually downgrade our drivers. But this might also be just a season where we kind of just coast through, is what I'm feeling. So notice well, control still his weakest stat. I think we're going to put him on smoothness, cornering, and reactions. I think that's fine. Could do short runs, but honestly, smoothness is just so vital right now that it's fine. I think we'll put Albon here on the same because his weakest point is accuracy, and it's lacking a little bit of braking, cornering. But he has good control, he's good at smoothness. So I think we'll just put him on the long runs here because that's going to help the cornering. It's going to get more smoothness, reaction out of him. and I'm happy with that. Cornering, braking, and accuracy here probably would be better just from a pace perspective. So yeah, I think we'll go with that. We'll get 3 of the lowest stats raced up. And honestly, smoothness is already 90, which is very good. So we'll go ahead and work on cornering, braking, and the accuracy. That is acceptable to me. The rest of the stuff here, Allison is here apparently. Prodromo, good. Bahrain. Honestly, all of this is pretty good. How's the pit crew looking? 3-second estimated pit stop time. Yeah, we're going to have to put a little bit of work in there, I think. And we're going to go ahead and just immediately set up the pit crew here for what we're going to be doing. And I think for this one, we're going to do what we're currently doing at the maximum weight challenge. And that is that we're not going to be switching paths between practice and quali. We're going to be using the paths up completely. And we're going to see if we can, over the course of this season, improve the pit crew that is currently showing as, let's put it like this. This is our total pit crew. About 3 seconds, 16%, 44, 41, 42, 50, 41, 72. I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot here with the help of Steam. And we're going to compare it probably at the end of the season and see if we have any improvements over the course of this year. So first things first, apparently the pit crew is tired going into the new year. They've been partying hard over New Year's. But we're going to set up the gym training here. So I'm going to sort this really quick, and then I'll get back. Here we are. This is what we're going to do with the pit crew this month. We're going to focus on just keeping car building at where it is, which is 73. We are able to keep that going, get a little bit of an extra buff here, up to potentially 74. We lower the chance of mistake by 2.7%. We get the pit stop times a little bit lower. And also just because I did a bit of a mistake with that first screenshot, I'll just mention it here. I took another one from this point, which is basically January 1st. What I was showing you was January 30th or 31st if we hadn't done anything. So we're taking a new screenshot from this point, which we're going to use to compare at the end of the season. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and confirm the changes. That should be fine. And next up then is we're going to get started on developing the car. And what I am thinking is that we're going to do what we usually do. CFD time goes into the underfloor on the first iteration. And on the second iteration, we're going to do front wing. That's just how we're going to have to do it. Because again, we were really, really lacking in terms of research. And you can see here we have a lot of wind tunnel and CFD time hours. And for this one, we're just going to maximize everything. We're just going to maximize everything, get a little bit of a decent boost going for, everything that we can. And I'm still going to rush it, even though financially, we aren't really in a good position to make this work very well. But I want the underfloor done. Wings can kind of wait, the front wing, if we need to, if we see that we don't have the financials. But the chassis is something we're definitely going to get going because it takes a long time to make. And we actually have enough engine cooling here that we're going to make a chassis that is purely top speed and cornering focused. And that should be just fine. Engine cooling, anything above 50% is good. Anything above 60% is a luxury, in my opinion. That is why we're doing things like this. Now, we could do this normally, but I think rushing this one is fair enough. It's pretty cheap to do so. So that's what we're going to do. And we're also going to get started on side pods and suspension because, again, these things take the longest to manufacture. And that is why we're doing it in this way. So we're losing 5% from the chassis. We're losing 6% here. So we're going to lose about 11% engine cooling, bring us down to 60%. I'm happy with that. So we're going to go ahead and make this part like this. I would like to rush this one as well, because we're going to have to rush one more part. So rushing the side pod is going to be the final part we need to rush here. And as I said, we might just do rear wing and front wing for the later on in the season if we can't financially sustain what we currently are doing. But it should be all right. Now for the suspension here, do I need more brake cooling? Is going to be the big question. And while brake cooling would be nice, I don't think it's anything in particular we're going to super need to boost even further. So I think we're going to take this low speed cornering, maybe do this, get a little bit of medium speed cornering in there. But for now, we're just going to do this. That should be okay. No brake cooling. Again, we have a lot. Anything above 60% is generally just a luxury. I'm very much happy with having more performance on the car itself. So that is exactly what we're going to do. And for this one, we are just going to make it normally. We'll still have enough time to manufacture it before secure. So that should not be a big problemo. Apparently we have refurbished a facility. Team Hub is level 4. I probably should have a look at that a little bit earlier. Now the design center is lacking. It's level 3. We have a 4 car part test center and suspension sim. Needs a little bit of refurbishment here, but honestly we don't want to spend money in it, as they've actually refurbished the wind tunnel. Staff facilities, race sim, and team hub are both level 4. Probably want to get those upgraded. And they've actually disrespected my beloved helipad, allowed it to decay into nothingness. So we're going to go ahead and refurbish that. But yeah. Team rosters for the 27th season. This is our Haas crew, Vasseur and Schumacher. Norris and Sainz are at Ferrari. We have Guan Yu Zhou and Perez at Alfa Tauri. Russell and Gasly will be running the Alfa Romeos. Ocon and Bottas Merc. Verstappen and Leclerc Red Bull, which is probably the most powerful pairing. We'll have to see if they can, be any sort of danger to us. Magnussen and Drugovich at Alpine. We have Pocher and Lawson at Williams. And then we have Stroll and Piastri at Aston. So these two might be our next driver pairing if this season goes well, which by all accounts, it should. Our car looks very, very good. Helipad has been refurbished. Could probably have waited a little bit to refurbish it to save time. But again, we're just here for a season, so it's not a big problem. Losing 9 days of design work, however, at the start of the season, that is actually painful. So that definitely sorts it out that we're not getting, for sure, the wings before the first race. And maybe not even the underfloors. But we're going to go ahead in now and develop another underfloor. The one after CFD time. And already you can kind of see just how much of a boost that CFD gave our floor here. It's going to be a 10% increase to what we currently have. It's going to be a 6% increase in airflow sensitivity, 28, 25, 12. So basically it's telling us that we gain between 10 to 12, 13, 14% expertise by using CFD time there. So let's go ahead and maximize it. And then we'll go over we've gained. So 12.5% gain here in drag reduction brings us over 80%, which is pretty good. 0.33 here. Remember, for low and medium speed, you have to take this number and split it on 2 to get the percentage. So 33 split on 2 is 16.5. 16.5 expertise gain here, 15% here. And for high speed, you can just take this number after 0, so 15%. So it's about a 10 to 15% increase in all 3 of these stats. That's pretty huge. And you can actually see it more better translated here on the right side. But yeah, we're going to try and get this done in time. We're going to have to rush it again, which is going to be very, very expensive. But at least one of our cars should be able to get it. And we'll be very, very competitive once we get it up and running. Now, chassis is done. And since we're not making another chassis right away, we're just going to start manufacturing. It's going to take 18 days, but we'll get it done in time. And we could also start doing another design. What I am thinking we do is that we don't really change out of the spec front wing, because we do need to save a little bit of money until we actually have the next CFD period. I think that would be okay to do, because again, we aren't really going to be suffering much by doing so. And the DRS is going to go up to 87% if we do this. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and make this rear wing. And we're just going to make it normally. As long as we have it before Baku, I'll be happy. Because we do need to be a little bit mindful of our spending right now, as we are going to be making a lot of parts. Side pods have been manufactured. We're going to go ahead here and just develop them immediately. I should make 3 of them. That should be fine. And we should have suspension finished also very, very soon. As the month takes over now, and we're going to have to set up a new pit crew schedule. I'll get this sorted quick. There we are. We're once again focused a little bit on getting that pit stop aero chance down while maintaining the other 2 stats here. We're going to be tired, but that's mainly because we're going into Bahrain more so than anything else. But we're getting a decent gain here, 8 across the board for the pit crew mistake chance fixing. Car building gets a little bit of a boost here, and we still have a little bit of pit stop boost as well. So this looks to be good, should be fine. And with that, we'll go ahead and confirm those changes. So facility has been refurbished. The wind tunnel is now level 3. And we're going to go ahead here, speed along. Bahrain is in 16 days now. We do have a design slot open, but as I said, I don't think we're going to need to do anything with the front wing until we get safety time. Because the car does look still incredibly dominant. It's fallen down a little bit here as the other teams have put on some more parts. But let's face it, the board wants 5th place. I can guarantee you that we're going to get 5th place or above. That's basically guaranteed at this point. We can rush this and have it done for Bahrain for both cars. We're going to have to put one part on during the race weekend. But I think that's worth it. The underfloor here is going to give us such an insane boost in everything that should not be a huge deal. Suspension, however, because of the delay, we're not going to get in time. Can't really speed it up by putting on more engineers either, but I should have done that earlier. And as I said, we don't need to design anything, I think. That's actually how powerful the car they gave us is. So it's a bit of a weird situation all around. Welcome to the 2027 season. Apparently, we're getting ready. But yeah, I want to see what we actually have manufactured. It should be just the chassis, which we can put on the car. But again, 10 places medium speed, 6 places high, 3 low speed. The chassis alone, I think, is going to propel us back into 1st place. So if we had this side put on top of that, let's have a look. And the underfloor, which of course is going to be a huge boon here. Yeah, I think we're already back in 1st. Let's have a quick look at the car analysis. Oh yeah, we're back in 1st. We did sacrifice engine cooling. That's put us down to last there. But we don't need a lot of engine cooling. And if we compare to Red Bull, who is lacking low speed cornering, it's actually not that much of a gap here. 2643 versus 2608. That's the top 6-7 teams. So yeah, the cars are pretty close to each other. And I think we're going to be seeing this a lot. But again, we have the underfloor. We have other pieces that are going to come in and give us boost. We have suspension that we're lacking. But the same can be said for them. But here's the thing. The AI does min-max in the same way that a player does. So our parts are going to be better than theirs every single time, which is a bit unfortunate. Some of our pieces are in low stock. That's fine. I think what I'm going to do here is start manufacturing an extra chassis for now. That shouldn't be a big deal. Preseason testing, a week until the 1st race. Run rating increase for our reserves. Sidepods have been manufactured. And the underfloor will be done in 5 days. So we have 1. So we can go ahead now, put that underfloor on car 1. And then compare it to, say, the Red Bull. So we're 1st in everything. 30 air tolerance still decent. And if we take a look at, say, the Red Bull, we're a little bit more ahead now than we were before. But what I'm curious about is who is the best team in terms of low speed. Oh, that is a terrible Ferrari. Again, the stats are pretty close, but it's a terrible Ferrari. Like, this is the difference between basically the worst car at this point and the best car. Huge difference in the high speed, big difference in the medium speed, but the low speed is pretty close. Generally, I think because of the regulation change last year, which was focused on low speed the most. So, yeah, I think we are going to have another fairly dominant season. We'll have to see the first couple of races, how they go, and then maybe just, I was about to say sim the rest, but we'll do what we can. I think we're going to go ahead here and say our driver is going to be top 5, at the very least. And we're going to put a man on the podium in our first race here as the head of McLaren. But yeah, car parts are on, I believe. Let's just double check. We have 1 suspension. I'm going to give it to car 1. I don't actually know which one of our drivers is the car 1, which one's the car 2, so no real... it's Albon. No real... what's it called? Favoritism there. But Albon is getting the suspension for this one, and we'll give Tsunoda a boost, you know. For the next one, we just need to remember to put his underfloor on. But yeah, with that, let's go to Bahrain. Let's get practice and quali done, and let's see just how quick we are in the race compared to the rest of the grid. So we're currently running Q3 here, that I showed this time, how we do quali generally, and as you can see at the top 10, both Alfa Romeos have made it, both Alfa Tauris have made it. Unfortunately, no Haas present, which is a little bit disappointing, but it is what it is. We have Verstappen, we have Leclerc, and we have Norris as well as Dragovic. So, bit of an interesting top 10 here, but one of the Ferraris did in fact fail to show up in Q3 at the first race, which is, of course, a little bit disappointing, but not really much we can do about it. So, we're doing our first lap here, 29.3 and a 29.1. That should, in theory, be good enough for front row lockout compared to what they've done at earlier times. But we're still going to do one more flying lap. But the best part about this quality is that we have so far only used one set of tires. We've been able to completely save every single other soft tire. And let's be honest here, I'm probably not going to use all these tires for the race itself. But we are in such a dominating position here that we can do another run on these worn tires. And I'm just going to send them out now a little bit earlier than anticipated. Theory, there might be one or two cars in the way here, but I think I've sent them out in a good window. Maybe, we'll see. As both Russell and Gasly gets out in the way. But there should be a good window for them to do their laps unmolested. Even if they do move out of the way, if you come up on them in a corner, you're still going to lose a lot of lap time. And we just barely made it into a good good corner here. Tsunoda had the best purple sector 1, but could not improve with the tires that we have given them. So already here in quali, we have a fairly sizable advantage, I'd say. It's nothing major, like, let's face it there, 4/10. Well, that is actually kind of major. Oh, well, Verstappen got a little bit closer. But yeah, we do have a advantage on the cars behind, as we're using older tires than they are, and doing, in theory, less runs. So yeah, already the car looks very, very dominating. The bottom 10 here, Magnussen got into 11th. We have the Haas in 12th and 14th. Both of them beating the Mercs. And Sainz out in Q1 is definitely a bit of a surprise departure. But I think Aston Martin or Williams is actually the team we're going to go with next, judging from this Q1. But we'll have to see how they develop over the course of the season. There's still a lot of it remaining. So that's actually going to be the more interesting part, I think, this year, unfortunately. This season, we're just going to kind of power through and do our own thing. And what I think we're going to do here is a very simple, we start light because we already have a dominant car. We do a very aggressive medium stint just to get that out of the way. And then we do another kind of light soft stint towards the end, or even standard. So yeah, or we could do a cheeky one stopper, really, if we wanted to. It is actually somewhat viable. But yeah, I think what we do here is what I mentioned earlier. We do this, use a medium tire, go into another soft, and then we take it from there. As you can see, we're going to save at least 6 seconds. And we're going to do this with both cars. Now, this is something you can generally do if you have a dominating car, or you know where you're going to be finishing, and you don't mind being a little bit slower at the start of your stint. But it does come with a couple of drawbacks, which is, of course, you're going to be slow at the start of stint. You're going to potentially lose some confidence if you don't have a good car. But it does allow you to take full advantage of this initial soft tire, particularly on tracks where they have a huge advantage, because they come preheated on the starting line. You don't need to heat them, they're already at temperature. So you can technically save even more tire by doing this. And as I said, you'll be getting this time back towards the end of the stint. Like, you'll be losing out to the cars that are pushing on the first 5 laps. You'll be losing out to them because they're pushing. But because they're pushing so much, they're using so much tire that every lap for the rest of the stint is going to be slower than yours, and you'll just slowly reel them in. So that's the idea behind this, at least. But yeah, McLaren lockout. Red Bull's behind us. Let's see if we can have a dominating start to our McLaren tenure. As we do have a good start here, both cars holding to their positions, gaining a decent chunk of time there. And already, I'd say it's looking very, very promising. But for now, sit back, relax. As I mentioned here, we could potentially see some overtakes. We're going to speed this along for the first couple of laps here, so you can see what I mean by running light tires. And again, it does work. We'll be seeing different levels of degradation. We're already seeing it here. Leclerc's used twice as much tire basically as we have. Close to it at least. So degradation-wise, we're saving a lot of tire, and it's going to come back to us in terms of better lap times later. And because we're running 1-2, we're actually struggling a little bit with overtaking. So at the moment, this is working out just fine. But again, it's mainly because we have a car that is incredibly dominant. And that is very, very helpful. So do keep that in mind. But yeah, we have gone away from Leclerc. We have gone away from Verstappen. Degradation-wise, it's still looking very, very good here. As I said, they almost have twice as high degradation as us. And that's going to hurt their lap times quite a bit. So while the Red Bulls are running with us now, want to stay, slow down, do not run aggressive anymore, we can just recharge our battery and run away. So it's looking good. Let's see how it looks once we get to that first pit stop. So far, the Red Bulls have actually been running somewhat with us. They're just a couple of seconds behind, but the difference is that they've been pushing their tires for the entire stint. You can kind of see it here. Verstappen and Leclerc are both getting into pit territory along with a lot of these other guys. So what I think we're going to do here is actually kind of join them on running attack. We're going to burn up these tires at this point because they're going to have a couple of slow laps here before they pit. They're not going to be necessarily super quick after they pitted either. So we should be able to create a decent gap here. And again, the fact that we can pit later is negative in the sense that they might catch up, they might undercut us, and they're actually double stacking. That's sad. But yeah, they might get held up by other cars here. That's going to be kind of our hope, if you will. But yeah, we're going to be pushing here with both cars. We have Russell and Gasly hunting us. Norris is up into 5th, which is good for him. You can see Sainz still stuck down there in 15th, still struggling a little bit, but he has pitted onto fresh tires, so should be a little bit higher up once that pit sequence is done. As Gasly now sets for fastest lap with a 34.3, while we did 35 blanks. So what is Leclerc and Verstappen doing? Let's see here. I think we'll be fine and come out ahead of them still, but I want to see what kind of lap times they are actually setting. So need to see that at the end of this one. But yeah, we are pushing ahead. It's looking good. Doing another 35 blank. Yeah. Kind of the same lap time. And as you can see, the guys behind us are 8-10 slower. Leclerc here, what is he doing? They are running behind the Aston Martin, which means that they're losing time. Gained about a second there. Verstappen was half a second quicker. So they are gaining on us. But again, we're going to have a tire advantage. We're going to go into the mediums, which we are going to attack with. So I'm not concerned. Let's see how we look after the pit stop. Unfortunate news, we're going to have to replay the race, but we'll be doing it the same way. So let's see what it looks once we get to the second pit stop on the replay. So we are back. Started pushing slightly earlier this time, but we still got the thing done. And we're going to jump onto the medium tire. We're going to have Tsunoda pit this lap. We're going to have Albon pit on the next lap. But we have 30 seconds to Verstappen, which is kind of the same as we had last time. Well, we have 2 seconds more this time around. But generally, the strategy here is very, very similar. And Verstappen and Leclerc are both kind of in free air, slightly. And Tsunoda did pit here, had a clean pit stop, and came out a good 10 seconds. Well, 8.5 seconds ahead of Russell. But as he gets those mediums of temperature, it shouldn't be a big deal. And there are some medium runners here as well. But yeah, we are 1-2. And we should be 1-2 until we do our final pit stop here, as we have our first incident of the season. And it's Kevin Magnussen versus the Aston Martin, and it's a light nudge this time around, with the Williams might take advantage of. We'll have to see. Were they able to? No, Magnussen's still ahead behind Stroll, so yeah, things still look to be the same. I'm curious how Haas is going to develop though, because they're not doing that well at the moment. Hopefully we'll be seeing them doing a little bit better with Schumacher in 9th, and our other driver here down in 20th. But yeah, for us, things are looking good. We're going to speed along here until we get to that final pit stop of ours. We've had an interesting incident here with Verstappen and Russell. As you can see, slight touch, Verstappen goes out, and yeah. That could have been pretty horrible, horrifying, everything in between. So, yeah, that one was a bit on the unfortunate side of it. Looks like Verstappen is fine for the most part. I don't think we see any massive damage. And they are going to be pitting soon. We have a pretty significant tire advantage at this point. 15 seconds on Leclerc. We was able to avoid the carnage. But yeah, both the Alfa Romeos and Verstappen having a little bit of a kerfuffle there. But yeah, it looks like the wings are fine. We're getting started on the final pit stop. Tsunoda just comes out here with his final pit stop completed. Perez is in the pits now. But you can kind of see that we do have a fairly sizable advantage on... well, everyone, let's just put it like that. And Norris currently in 4th, but he is going to need to pit at one point, so not anything great there. We're going to be running it as standard here. That should be fine. I don't think that should be a big issue, so to speak. And Albon here now comes out behind Tsunoda. And with everyone now having pitted with Verstappen, Leclerc, Gasly, and Russell, you can kind of see the dominance already. We have 20 seconds with basically a third of the race remaining. So I think this is going to be a little bit of a walk in the park. We'll have to see. This is still hard difficulty, keep in mind. But hopefully the AI can develop a car that is somewhat competitive over the course of the season. We'll probably do 2 more races, and then we'll see where we're at. And maybe, just maybe, this whole season is going to be a bit of a write-off. And I'll have to sit down and grind it out over a couple of weeks. We'll see. But yeah, let's speed along here until the end of the race. Let's see if we have anything more fun happening. We are getting to the final lap here. We have both Tsunoda and Albon still running together, side by side more or less, and I'm just not going to intervene here. Whoever wins, wins. Albon has a little bit of a tire advantage. We'll have to see if we can capitalize on that. But we have 42 seconds down to Leclerc, and we have 50 seconds down to Verstappen, a full minute down to Gasly, and well, we haven't overtaken a lot of them. Norris is currently in danger of getting overtaken reasonably soon, as Tsunoda is going to be the one that pulls the longest straw, and does in fact, is the shortest, is the longest, I don't know, but he did win our first race. Albon comes second, we did secure fastest lap, and as mentioned here, I think this McLaren stint is going to be a lot easier than we anticipated. I don't see how they can have this kind of car and score as little points as they did last year, although let's be honest here, the research they did was actually fairly good. So, could be that the AI just researched better than the other teams. But Perez and Show, Alpha Tauri is still doing well. The Alfa Romeo is still doing decent. Unfortunately, the Haas could not convert kind of what we gave them into lasting advantage. But that is what it is. So, fastest lap here, 30.526 versus 30.552. Pretty close. And as you can see, a faster lap from anyone else. We're about a second, 1.2 seconds quicker. So that's pretty huge. And I'm wondering if that means that we have updated the lap record around this place. Tsunoda now holds it. So yeah, that is us leading the constructors. AlphaTauri 3rd, Alfa Romeo 4th, Haas 7th. Bit disappointing, but yeah, we'll have to see exactly which is going to be our next team here, because there are quite a few potential candidates, and in the top 10 fastest pit stop competition, we're currently 7th and 10th here. Not the best, but as you can see, Red Bulls have 2.5 second pit stops. We have 3 second pit stops, so we have a little bit to go on here in terms of improvements, but I think it will be okay. Apparently, we paid out a driver bonus of 33,000. That's a pretty cheap bonus, I'll be honest. But yeah, underfloors now have been manufactured. The actual chassis has been manufactured. And honestly, we're not really doing any designs because, as I said, I don't think we're going to need to. And honestly, I think I might save some money here and try and make McLaren a little bit scarier come next season. At least cancel out the regulation changes. I think it's going to be the goal of the research. So, yeah. Again, we don't really need anything, which is the problem. I don't want to make the car any more dominant than it already is. So that is the thought pattern there. If you're curious, maybe a little bit boring way of doing things, but to be fair, if we make the car too good, not only are we going to coast this season, but we're probably going to coast next season too. Honestly, even if they're a little bit more challenging, I think it's going to be fine. And funnily enough here, Albon had advantage in car parts, but Tsunoda still took the victory. So, man's aggressive. Car part inspection, everything passed. We lost about 10% across the board, 9% there for Tsunoda. Took a little bit better care of his engine clearly, probably from running cooler, as he ran ahead. But yeah, that should be good. Development update here. Improvement in accuracy, no improvement for Tsunoda. Reserve here gets improvement in overtaking and accuracy. And the board should be very happy with this. Does this mean the board now loves me? They're delighted with my race performance at least, so I'd argue they do love me already. Just maybe. But yeah, we have to set up a new pit training schedule, and for this one, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. We did get a little bit more fatigue than we anticipated, and the reason for that is incredibly simple. We put on the new underfloor. That's the part we changed, and that leads to, unsurprisingly, extra fatigue. So bit of a problem that we did it, but it's fine. Put in one of the sessions like that, and that should be good. A couple more gym sessions, maybe a gym session and car building, and might be able to sneak in a couple of pit stop drills here too before we go into Jeddah, and that should be fine. Now, because we know that we aren't going to be switching parts much, we could be fine here with just setting up the rest of the pit crew training as well, and we're actually going to go ahead and do just that. And again, the goal is to maintain the car building, maintain the pit stop times, and try and allow our error chance to go down. That's going to be the initial priority, and I think we're doing a pretty good job on that. Okay, so we can put in at least one more session here, and one session here. Is it better that we do this, maybe? It's going to be 5% anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, we're going to allow a little bit of rest day to come in, put in one of these, so we're at above 10%. You basically recharge 9 fatigue a day, or 9% fatigue. So you want to have a little bit to go on at the start of next weekend. But yeah, after Australia here, we're getting a long break, so that should be fine. So we're keeping the pace of times where they are, gaining a little bit, but we are lowering the chance of mistake. We're getting car building up, so I'm happy with the training that we have put down here. Manufacturing has been completed, or rather, the suspension. We lack a few. That's not really a big deal. We are actually making them. ATR starts today, which means that we are going to get started on that front wing that I mentioned. We wanted to spend ATR on getting low speed cornering on it, because that is basically the only thing they really failed tremendously over the course of last season, to research that low speed cornering ability. And what we are going to do here is this, and this, as well as get a little bit of extra brake cooling and air for the front. And this is what we're going to do for CFD. Remember, we're going to make another one afterwards, so no big deal that it's minimum weight. And the goal here is going to be very simple. We want to get it done by Baku. And by looks of this, that will be easy. It'll take 20 days for each iteration, then 3 days to make them. So we'll just barely have them done by Baku if we're lucky. So that should be fine. Now the rear wing will be done in 6 days, and that means we'll have it for Melbourne. So that's good. But yeah, we don't actually need to assign parts, which is hilarious, seeing that we took over the worst rated team last year. So yeah, definitely whoever was in charge of this team, I understand why we were allowed to take control. Because he theoretically had arguably one of the best cars and was not able to capitalize. So yeah, that's a bit sad. But now though, let's get practice quality done, and let's see if we have just as dominating a performance here in Saudi Arabia. But before that, install the suspension on both cars now, and I believe that means that we now have the parts that we made installed on both cars, and we have. And if we now take a look at this, first and everything, 630 air. We have sacrificed cooling, but again, it's something you can do. Cooling for performance is a trade you should do probably every time. And now we can kind of see it a little bit clearer just how ahead of the Red Bulls we actually are. And that's a good almost 100. That's also almost 100. This is over 100. So we do have a decent chunk of cornering. We have a decent chunk of top speed. Everything really. And I do want to take a quick look at Haas here. How are they doing? What have they done? So they have a good car for cornering, but they just aren't performing. Guess the AI is struggling with overtakes due to low top speed, maybe? That would explain a few things, honestly. AlphaTauri, they did well. Lucky top speed, good low speed cornering. Best brake cooling in the business. So they're doing well. And the Alfa Romeo here is mostly just a midfield car. Well, not really a midfield. It's the arguably fourth best car. Third best, maybe. So they're doing well as well. Can't complain. Has the Ferrari had any sort of improvements, or is it still... Is it sad that I want Ferrari to fail so that I can take them over next season? Because that is actually horrendous. They did score a couple of points though. But yeah, that Ferrari is actually completely destroyed. And if they don't get it fixed this season, they're going to suffer. But for now, let's head to Jeddah. Let's see what we can do. So qualifying at Jeddah, a little bit interesting here. We have half a second to Leclerc. Verstappen in 7th. We have Alpines here. Magnussen and Drogovic. So that's kind of interesting as well. And unfortunately, only one of the Alpha Tauris, but Rocher snuck in as a Williams, while the other one, the Alpha Tauris, is down in 12th. But Norris, 18th. Sainz, 13th. The Ferrari demise is real. They're actually crashing a little bit harder than Mercedes at the moment, so that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on. But yeah, for this race, I think we're just going to do something very, very simple. We start on the hard tire, we go full attack, then we go over to a soft tire, sorry, a medium tire once we've used that hard tire for all it's worth. And I do think that that is going to be, for us, just the easy strategy that we can employ. It's going to be safe, because we're pushing in the first stint, we're going to be able to most likely create a bit of a gap. And because it's the hard tire, we're going to be pitting probably around the same time everyone else is, unless we have red flags. It is Jeddah. So this should be good. We have soft tires available. The medium tire is also available, but the fact that we're using both of these could put us in a vulnerable situation, but it should be fine. Let's see how this race goes, and if we are going to be winning even harder here than we did at Bahrain. Soft tire, medium tire behind us, a lot of soft tires, so it kind of gives the idea that they are going to be pitting before us, even if we're running full attack. And as you can see here, bit of a bad start from Albon, I do believe, but we have managed to hold on to first and second, going through the first couple of corners here, and that is looking rather good. So we'll settle back here, we'll allow things to progress and see if we can get away from the Alfa Romeos and the Red Bulls, and if we have any sort of dominance come, or rather a gap, come the pit stops. So our strategy is basically a huge success here. We are getting close to pit stop. Russell has already pitted. Gasly, there's some others that pitted here. But we already have more than a pit stop on these guys. So yeah, it's worked out very, very well. Degradation is also in our favor. So I think we'll be fine no matter what we decide to do here. And again, we have 17 seconds on the club before he's even pitted once. So the car, very, very good. No complaints here. Can't actually get much better, honestly. So yeah, it's looking very, very promising, and probably a little bit boring, if I'm completely honest. So I think we'll do Australia. Maybe have a look at the start of next episode at how the other teams look come Baku. But I think we are gonna have to condense this series pretty aggressively, I might add. Now, Leclerc's currently between us, but as I said, he hasn't pitted yet, so Albon is going to overtake him no problem, and going to have a little bit of a fight there as he gets the RS and comes back at us. But yeah, we get the overtake done before the corner, and then Leclerc is given the RS and a chance to attack back on the main straight. But I think we're pretty much kind of done with this race already. Let's speed along here and see if we have any incidents before we get to the end. So I'm tempted to try something this season, and that is to take every single fast lap record. So what we're going to do here is actually, I think, pit both of these boys. And I think we're going to pit Tsunoda first on this lap, and we're going to allow them to try and set the fastest lap each. And unfortunately, it's going to probably mess with the results a little bit on who becomes champion this year, because we are, well, pinning both of them towards the end of the race here. Let's be honest, we have 30 seconds of Verstappen and Leclerc. There's no danger in what we're doing. So we're going to be pitting Tsunoda here, have him heat up the tyre for a lap, then go full attack. Then we'll do the same for Albon. So Tsunoda's probably going to win because we're giving him the benefit of pitting first. But at the same time, I think it would be more fun if we kind of maximize every point that we can on one driver it would be hilarious to do that, just from a gameplay perspective, to see what we can do if we can get 26 points every single race weekend. So I'm a little bit tempted to try that out, see what we can do with it. I think it would be fun. Tsunoda starts his fastest lap attempt here, has a lot of free air. And potentially Albon could get a little bit of help from Tsunoda, but he has a bit of a slower pit stop that did punish him. So yeah, that probably puts it in Tsunoda's favor, let's be honest. Let's see what he can do now in terms of the fastest lap attempt. And we're also going to get Albon here prepped and ready to attempt his fastest lap. As Tsunoda sets a fastest lap of 27.3. That's pretty quick. And also starts his final lap. Now for Albon, let's see what he can do here. Been given permission to full push. He has a slightly lighter car. Let's see if he can take advantage of that to snatch fastest lap here from Tsunoda. He is gaining, which is surprising. Green sector 1, that's not good enough. We're gonna see green sector 2. Yes, so most likely not going to be able to snatch the fastest lap bit of Tsunoda, unfortunately. We'll see though as it comes over the line. He did snatch fastest lap though. Green sector 1 and green sector 2 was enough. 27 to 90 there. And I have no idea, I don't remember exactly how quick Tsunoda's lap was, but we'll take a look. So unfortunately that does kind of render my whole, strategy moot, but we are going to try and score every single point as a team then maybe. So yeah, Tsunoda wins. Albon second, did have a pit stop error, probably would have gotten Tsunoda if we didn't pit for fastest lap. I'll be perfectly honest, but as you can see, it's just 200s between them, so they're pretty close as drivers as well. Tsunoda still in the lead here, pretty substantially. Has scores point with Schumacher, happy to see that. Mercedes scores points with Ocon, happy to see that too because it pushes Ferrari further down the order. And Alfa Romeo has overtaken Alfa Tauri, so yeah, pretty good. Pit stop wise, Red Bull has improved 2.3 seconds versus 2.7, so would say the pit stop times is probably around 2.5 seconds most of the time. And for us, we did not have a good pit stop. Tsunoda had one, but unfortunately, that's the only good pit stop we did have. But it does boost us up into 4th place in the pit stop tournament, so maybe we can make something happen, but it's going to require us to focus on time, which is going to take a while. But yeah, Tsunoda has a funny bonus here, and the same actually does Albon have. Extra $7. Someone's been bribing them to come to the team, clearly. But yeah, Red Wing now, we're going to go ahead and manufacture it. We have 11 days for Melbourne, so we just make them normally. That shouldn't be a big deal. And Tsunoda has now improved to an 88 overall driver. That's not bad. Carbon inspection should go through cleanly and still looks good. But yeah, let's go straight to Australia. It's going to be probably the last race we do. And we're going to deny budget for the design center improvement because we don't need to. We're not going to be developing too many projects at the moment, so I'm going to just say no thank you. Thank you for the initiative, but we are not even using the capacity that we have at the moment, so there's no benefit for us to do any more with it. But yeah, let's jump into the race here. Let's see if we have another dominating performance, and if we do, then I do believe that most of the season is just going to be a walkover. And again, our team is still looking good. Red Bull, honestly, we haven't even put on all of our car parts now I think about it. We still have the rear wing. And yeah, like so. And even then, we are still incredibly dominant against the Red Bull. So yeah, let's see how this goes. I think it's going to be another one too, unless you have an incident. So let's just speed through Australia. Up until this point, we've had a pretty smooth sailing here at Australia. Paris has had a bit of an incident here where he's crashed. Luckily, I think his teammate is safe. Looks like it. And since he basically slid all the way to the exit there, instead of a red flag that we usually get at these sort of incidents, instead have now a safety car. So what we're going to do, probably pit Tsunoda over onto some fresh, soft tires. I think that is going to be good for him. And for Albon here, we're going to have to make a decision because as you can see, everyone behind is pitting. He too does have 1 tires. And if Leclerc and Verstappen stays out, if the cars ahead stay out, I think we're still safe because we should come out ahead of Norris. So we're going to get him in as well here now. But yeah, been pretty smooth sailing. Leclerc and Verstappen are both on soft tires, but I think they would be worn. Albon is still with them, so we could probably have played some sort of game there to get them by the end of this. I don't think that would have been much of an issue. And for Tsunoda here, he is going to come in now, and we'll have to see if the Red Bulls elect to take a pit stop as well. But yeah, he comes out clear ahead of them. Verstappen pits, but Leclerc opts to not pit, and we do come out ahead of him. Leclerc on old softs, Gasly on old soft. Verstappen has some fresher soft tires. But this is now a fairly interesting affair, and I think we can actually run full attack now just till the end. So that is exactly what we are going to be setting up for. And for Albon, overtaking 2 cars on older softs should not be a big deal here. Other than that, Norris is in a good position, but with old mediums, 12 laps to go, he's not looking too good, neither is Pocher. So yeah, Russell here is going to be interested if he can do anything with the tires he has available to him. This is going to be a fairly interesting affair. See if Albon can have a good restart here, and we're of course going to put the deploy on. But yeah, safety car is ending. We're going to have 10 laps of racing. We have more than enough time to make that happen. Focus is going to be on Albon. We need to overtake both Leclerc and Gasly, and also hopefully snatch fastest lap from someone, which I think shouldn't be a big deal now, as we're at the end of the race with fresh tires. So let's see here. Can Tsunoda have a good restart? Looks like it did. Unfortunately, I think we actually lost out more there than the Red Bull and the Alfa Romeo. But we are back onto the tail of the Alfa Romeo, and I was considering setting the overtake aggression too high, but I think we'll be fine for now. Once DRS comes back in the picture, we should be just flying by. We do have a pretty significant DRS advantage, and Tsunoda has already gotten away from DRS range from the cars behind, so I think we will be fine here. Use DRS to get close, and then have Albon launch a couple of attacks there towards the end. I don't think that's going to be too much to ask, really, as he might actually be getting the Alfa Romeo immediately, and he does. Maybe not completed yet, never mind, it is indeed completed, and next up we're going to have the Ferrari of Leclerc. Again, both of these cars have old softs, so as long as we get by, we'll be good, as DRS is now enabled, but might not even need DRS. Gets it done without it. And that's Albon back up into second, Tsunoda with fastest lap. Let's see if we can hold on to this for the next 7 laps or so. Final lap here, Tsunoda and Albon are running 1-2. We have created a 5-second gap to Russell, and Verstappen is trying. As you can see, they have all burnt their tires way more than we have, so that is good. But Russell actually came out as a big winner with his choice of medium tire, and Norris has, unfortunately for him, fallen out of the points here completely, as Tsunoda takes the win, Albon comes second, Russell third. Then Bottas scoring a very good point position here, Ocon as well, for the Mercedes. So it's looking very, very interesting here. We might, if Aston manage to score a couple of points, Ferrari here next season. But Aston is probably struggling a little bit too much for that, let's be honest. And that's a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, 1-2 for us. Drivers then. Tsunoda continues his journey, and we'll be happy with that. Constructors, good lead. There isn't really much to say here, honestly. We did have a bit of a pit stop issue for Albon. It didn't really cost anything. But yeah, it's not really much to say here. We are going to most likely have a very dominating season again. So I think we're going to end it here, and we'll do a little bit of a search for suggestion. That's number 1. The second one is that I would like to think a little bit of how we're going to do this season, because I think the play here is going to be very, very simple, and that is that we kind of skip through most of it like we usually do when we get a dominant car, and just have a look at it towards the end. And as you can see, the front wing 2 here is going to, you know, boost it even further ahead of the opposition. So I think it's going to be a very, very dominant season. I think we might focus a little bit on research. 87 there for Albon, good level up. And try and see if maybe, just maybe, we can make a stable team for next year to fight us. But yeah, Alfa Romeo, I'd say Alfa Tauri, both of them are still pretty stable. It has is a bit of a failure since we kind of focused a little bit less on research there. I was a little bit worried. But yeah, I'm a bit surprised this McLaren team was lost last year. As silly as that sounds. But yeah, that is it for today. We are going to, as I said, do a little bit of a reconsider. Come up Baku. We might have some surprising upgrades for the AI. I do kind of doubt that. But most likely the rest of the season is going to get cut into 2 more episodes. I think that's going to be the play. And of course, because there's so many races, it takes a long time to play and edit. So yeah, we'll see what we do. Hopefully, I'll have a next episode of, I'm actually not sure what. It's Tuesday or Wednesday. I think that's going to be the play. Next week is going to be incredibly busy for me. But I should be able to hopefully make 2 videos. Maybe 3 if we're lucky. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I do hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.